What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back in the lab here, Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast, powered by SC Live 365. I am Deon Cash, your host, with my co-host Matt Digby in the house. How we feeling, Matty D?
I'm feeling great. First weekend of the big dance in the books, and got a lot to talk about at all levels of postseason basketball. It's no time like March.
No time like March, and we got the Ohio State Lady Buckeyes making it to the Sweet 16 for the second consecutive season. So we'll talk about that a little bit and all the other teams that are in that Sweet 16, and then we'll talk about our brackets, how we're doing, how we're not doing, and what we'll see in this next weekend. Then next after that, we got the high school tourney action. State championship was here. A lot of action, a lot of big names, and some surprise winners.
Yep.
And one region of the state dominated. We'll get to that. And we have a surprise guest coach that'll be coming in to chop with us as well. And then we'll go into the NCAA men's Sweet 16, and we got some all-star games going down. A lot of stuff still popping out here when it comes to this March Madness. How we feeling over there, Matt?
Feeling good. Like we were talking about, we're going to dive right into the NCAA women's tournament. Of course, the first weekend completing that bracket as well. And Ohio State women, it's been quite a journey, though, for them. It hasn't been the two easiest games for the Buckeyes, both against James Madison. They had that terrible start in the first quarter and for a good part of the second quarter, but they were able to right the ship. And then North Carolina, that game coming down to a late basket for the Buckeyes, but they were able to prevail over the Tar Heels, and now they got a big matchup with UConn. You can never count out Gino Auriemma and UConn women's basketball, regardless of what year it is.
And with that being said, that's, all four of the teams have made it through in that bracket, which is one of the only, I think there might be one more that's got all four of the teams. And as I look,
the Greenville.
No, there's not. This is the only bracket. Oh, no.
The Greenville 1 bracket had the top four seeds.
Yeah, so you got two of the brackets, 1 through 4, Virginia Tech, Tennessee on the other side. But the Ohio State Lady Buckeyes pulling out a dramatic win at home. And there's no place like home. They were winning for a lot of the game in the second half, and then North Carolina made a charge at the end of that game, took a 2-point lead actually under 2 minutes remaining, but the Buckeyes remained calm, able to finish out strong, and then we had a clutch basket at the end to put the game away, and now the Buckeyes will head to Seattle to face UConn. Now, we talked about this last week, how you were, he was the UConn, and I said, no, Matt, this ain't happening. I said, this ain't happening this year, but now we get that matchup that we all wanted. And Cody McMahon, the Centerville graduate, who's a freshman.
Big Ten freshman of the year.
Yeah, I believe 16, 17 points in that game as well. 4 players for Ohio State ladies in double figures. She said, hey, I want to play against UConn. So, hey,
ask and you shall receive.
And you shall receive, Matty D, and they're going to take on the vaunted Huskies team. What do you see in this matchup?
I see a very great matchup because also you got to look at, what the Buckeyes have gone through to get to this position. First off, I remember their current head coach, Kevin McGuff, he's done a good job shedding the reputation of his predecessor, Jim Foster. But I remember growing up watching the Jim Foster teams in the 2000s right up to 2013 when he was let go. But under Foster, it did seem there was that kind of trend where, there's always that shock 14-3 or 13-4 seed in the first round. Well, under Jim Foster, a lot of times, not all the time, but more than just a few, it was Ohio State that was on that team that was on the losing end of those shocking upsets. So now Kevin McGuff has kind of been able to be a little bit more consistent, have Ohio State in a position where they expect to be, especially based on seed, holding chalk, the 3 seed over the 14 seed, then the 3 seed over the 6 seed. Again, not the smoothest path in the world to get to the Sweet 16, but they're one of 16 teams still in the tournament, and right now that's all that matters.
Yeah, J.C. Sheldon hitting the shot over a couple defenders, and with that bucket, the Buckeyes will continue to move on. Now, Cody McMahon has really played well for them.
Yes, she has.
And it's going to be a big key, so that will be great to watch her do her thing against UConn. Now, the other local that we have that's in the game is Bree Hall. And Bree Z playing for USC. they won as well, and they are in that other bracket, like you said, that's undefeated, and they'll be taking on a UCLA team that's pretty good. And Maryland Notre Dame is at the bottom of that bracket. What do you think about that? About that South Carolina team, man?
Well, I think definitely the door has opened for South Carolina, because that was the big thing I was looking at. If South Carolina, they were on track to beat Stanford in the Final Four had Stanford won out. But with Stanford losing at home in the second round to Ole Miss, that has literally opened the door for them. I think South Carolina has been the main favorite to get through their regional, the Greenville 1 regional. That hasn't changed, but now it's a matter of who they'll play in the Final Four. Ole Miss, Louisville, Colorado, Iowa. I like Caitlin Clark and the Hawkeyes, their chances to make it to the Final Four, but I'm not sure how they can match up with South Carolina. I do think it is definitely South Carolina's to lose.
Yeah. That bracket is all four of the heavyweights are there. I think they'll play Maryland in that last game. Maryland's very tough. I mean, very good team. They put it on Ohio State as well. But South Carolina's a different beast. And Staley, I like what I see with them.
Yeah.
And then in the other two brackets, you got LSU and Utah. That'll be an interesting game. Angel Reese going for 24 and 20. She is a beast. They suffocated Michigan and took them out. And on the other side, Villanova, Miami, Florida, a 4-9 matchup. When you look at this, that LSU-Utah game could be the winner headed to the Final Four.
I think so. I think it's one of those, just like South Carolina, what Dawn Staley has done, what Kim Mulkey did at Baylor for so many years, and now she's been doing at LSU. It's no surprise to me that LSU is in their current situation. I'm interested to see. I haven't seen a whole lot of Utah, so I'm interested to see how they match up, because I know they did have a close game against Princeton in the second round. So that's going to be a fascinating matchup to see, I think, between the Utes and the Tigers. So I'm calling that a toss-up. But then you mentioned the other semifinal in that Greenville 2 region, Miami and Villanova, the Hurricanes. What a weekend for them, both the women and the men beating Indiana in the second round.
Oh, man. I mean, Miami of Florida, come on. When we think of Miami of Florida, we think about going to get a tan. We trying to we on the beach. We trying to, we kicking it. You know what I mean? It ain't about no basketball. And they come up and they beat the Hoosier State premier team, and the women and the men. That's got to hurt a little bit. But we'll see. But congratulations to those. Miami, Florida, doing it big out here. There's no question about it. They hurt some of them indie feelings out there. The other last bracket I saw, and you already said Iowa. Looks like they could be the team that come through.
Yes,
they're taking on Colorado, and then Louisville, Ole Miss, 5-8 matchup. Iowa's the top seed in the bracket.
Because Ole Miss playing with a ton of emotion after that big win at Stanford. Because that's the one thing I'm not sure many people realize with the NCAA women's tournament, those first and second round games are at actual home court environments. It's not neutral site. Like Ohio State, because they were the highest seed, those games were in Columbus. Stanford's games, they were at Stanford's home arena, and Ole Miss was able to go there and win and hold them at arm's length really for a significant portion of the game. That too, it wasn't just hanging around for 30 some minutes and then make a fluke shot at the end. Ole Miss, they were on the get-go from the very beginning.
And Ole Miss definitely, that defense is stifling, and they get up in you. They're not going to rest. But Haley Van Lith, she is a sniper, and she had some folks mad in that line when they went through there.
Yep.
And they advanced to the Sweet 16.
Because again, Louisville won at Texas. I'm sure a lot of Longhorn fans were not expecting to see a home loss, especially this early in the competition.
You see that Iowa-Louisville matchup? Wow, that could be very enticing. But Ole Miss has some better plans. I must admit, hey, Matty D, as we get ready to wrap this up, I still have all of my teams still in this. South Carolina.
Okay.
I have South Carolina. I said LSU. I felt like Ohio State. Now that's, we got Virginia Tech, Tennessee on the other side, and UConn, obviously. And then I got Iowa. So I feel very good about my chances of getting 2 to 3 my picks in the bracket. Who you still have? South Carolina?
I still have South Carolina. I actually had Utah going all the way to the Final Four, and I have UConn. I did think UConn. Right now, I'm back to a toss-up between UConn and Ohio Sate, because that's going to be a great game. Yep. I do think whoever wins that is going to be the heavy favorite over whoever emerges from Virginia Tech, Tennessee. Tennessee, they've been still able to maintain that level of excellence that they had under Pat Summitt, and Virginia Tech, what a story for them. The rise to the top of the ACC and hosting a couple games in Blacksburg and winning those games and making it this far as they have. That's very commendable. But I do think whoever wins Ohio State UConn will win that regional title.
Yeah, it's going to be something to see. Coming up next, we got the OHSA State Championship recap to talk about, and then Boys Sweet 16 and our special guest. Don't go away. Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast.
Welcome back to the Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Matt Digby, joined by Deon Cash, and we have a special guest. He is the head boys basketball coach and also just recently named the head football coach over at West Carrollton High School, Anthony Parker. Anthony, welcome to the Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast.
Man, thanks a lot. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll definitely get into everything. It's been a busy couple of weeks for you the last couple of weeks, so we'll definitely get into that. But we're also going to start with high school boys basketball, the state tournament finishing up over at UD Arena, and it was a sweep for Northeast Ohio. Richmond Heights, Akron Hoban, Akron. There was a second team I won. Bucknell. They won the D2 title, yeah. And then I'm blanking on who else won.
It was. Hold on. You got two Akron, and then
two from Akron, Richmond Heights, Lutheran East. That's who won. Because it was Lutheran West who beat CJ in the semifinals.
Right.
Yeah, so they were rolling. They were destined for them to. It was destined for them to make it happen. I got a chance to cover a little bit of Cleveland this year, and obviously it was high level up there. And they put it to us one time. They put it to Southwest Ohio one time, Coach. Did you get a chance to check any of the games out, or was it more like just kind of saw it? I mean, they were on TV as well. So.
Yeah, well, one of the luxuries of it being on TV is that I was able to make time in the midst of doing some other things to still be able to watch the full game. So not in person, but I was able to watch quite a few games. So
yeah.
At least we had some good games to watch as well too. I know it was in 0-3 for the Miami Valley in the semifinals. Rushi, they had a great first half against Richmond Heights, but then Richmond Heights kind of came back, took the lead, and then basically showed why they are the defending D4, now two-time defending D4 state champs. But then Chaminade Julienne, Lutheran West, we thought that was going to be a battle. It was a battle. Centerville, Pickerington Central, we thought that was going to be a battle. And for both games to come down to the absolute final seconds, putting up last-second shots, and especially the Centerville Pick Central game, that was an off-balance shot it looked like to be, but it somehow found its way in. Both Centerville and CJ had chances to inbound out of timeouts. Centerville, the Pick Central, they had the 6'7" guy, Gavin Headings, perfectly in position to block the inbound pass and ice the game with the basket of his own. But CJ, George Washington, very nearly won that game. Did you have a chance to see that replay?
Did, given that he had knocked down a few earlier this year, you almost kind of thought he was going to make it, to be honest with you. So,
well, that was crazy too, as far as they kind of gave the lead up, and then you're like, okay, here's the shot. He kind of gets it. I didn't even think he would be able to come down. He came down with it like a football play, Coach.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like a wide receiver against two DBs. He comes down, and this is why I know he's going to be good at the next level, because the way he shot the ball, there was nobody even going to get near him to block that shot.
That's what surprised me the most, the fact that he came down with it and he had so much space and plenty of time to get that shot off.
Yeah, he was a remarkable player to watch. One of those exciting guys. When CJ looks back, there was a few play. It was a team effort and kind of losing the game, Coach. But this still, nevertheless, getting to the state 2 years in a row. That's great stuff. Centerville, they got their 3 years in a row. Pick Central, final moments with the win on like you said, a hook shot. But in the press conference, Cubs, it was interesting because you were there, and it was like, he said what he had to say, but then at the end he said, hey, I need to say something else. And this was more for the haters. You know what I'm saying? Like, look, y'all can say whatever y'all want about my son, but he deserved to be player of the year. Whether it was last year, this year, whatever year. And, he said, I'm good. We're good. Like, You can say whatever you want. We got to the state 3 years in a row. Y'all can't believe it anyway. We good.
Yeah,
It
Coach.
was almost like, and I'm out of here. But who knows on that level what happens? But an incredible coach. You know how hard it is. I mean, you won the conference a couple of years in a row. How hard it is to win 3 years in a row and be that effective. Talk about that for us.
Let's go back to the shot first with Washington.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we teach, because I thought he was going to make it. What we teach is contest the pass.
Yep.
Don't contest the shooter with that. Less of time left, because you don't want to foul him, and he potentially have a chance to knock down 3 free throws. So I would have done the same thing. Like I said, he had a clean look. Centerville, man, I was really intrigued by that game, because you essentially got to see two of the best players in the state of Ohio, regardless of the division, go back and forth with each other. And at that moment, it didn't matter who your team was, didn't matter where you were from. You had mutual respect for both players. So
you did.
In the end, you can say who's one, who's two, there's a couple other guys you can mention in there. But I think when you talk about top 5 players in the state of Ohio, they really show that they deserve to be in that category. So
for sure. And for you, as I know with Pickerington Central, they opted to put the 6'7" guy Gavin Headings on the inbound pass at the very end of the game to disrupt that opportunity. Lutheran West did not. If you have been the Lutheran West coach, would you have put someone on the inbound?
You probably want to make that pass as hard as possible. You don't want to give them a clean look. And I think, what you saw was, two contrasting scenarios. Even though he didn't make it, he had an opportunity to, as to where Pickerington Central, phenomenal coaching move to put a guy, right there, and for him to time it like that and get that ball. I think that's pretty great coaching right there.
All right, we're going to transition real quickly to your season a little bit, Coach.
Okay.
West Carrollton, a division championship. You had some injuries during the course of the season. Talk about the season for us a little bit, and what you guys need to do to maybe elevate to the next level. Because there is levels to this.
Sure.
You've had a great run so far, but what is it going to take for you guys to get to the next level?
Sure. So, I think in the beginning it was more about buying in with the whole belief that, we could be successful. So I think, once you achieve that, given from where we were in the beginning, going 2 seasons with no winning no games, just to kind of get to the point to where, hey, now teams have to scout for us, they have to respect us. I think that was an accomplishment, of in itself. But then, you get to a point where you start having some success, and teams, they start really locking in to beat you now. So I think, we've kind of gotten to the level now to where teams don't overlook us, and they say, you know what, if we go in and think there's going to be an easy win, we're going to lose. So I think we end up getting a lot of teams' best play, to be honest with you, given that the conference that we're in, kind of our makeup, our dynamic, it makes we get everybody's attention regardless of what our record is. So.
And especially for you to have that success with a lot of guys who will be coming back. We'll talk about Kylan Ingram. He's only a sophomore coming up in just a few minutes. Javen Bond is only a junior. But to have that belief instilled in them right now, that's going to help them next year. And for Kylan in 2 years when he's a senior, how important is that to have that belief in them as early as possible?
Well, even our last game, which didn't go the way we expected to, Kylan had a really good game. He had about 21 points, maybe double-digit rebounds. And he kind of, even after the game, we talked a little bit, and he was just kind of like, Coach, okay, I see what I'm capable of, and I want to take it up to the next level. So, I think, as it relates to, sometimes playing against those teams, and even if you don't have a favorable outcome in the beginning, it kind of normalizes it such to the point to where you can say, you know what, if I work hard, I can play on that level as well. So I think just them kind of experiencing some of the things that we've experienced, and not running away from some of the better competition is now preparing us as because if you look at area basketball, a lot of the talent as it relates to teams around here, they're all seniors. So we feel like we have an opportunity next year with some of the returning guys that we have to really make some noise next year. So I think that kind of excites us and kind of motivates us as we work towards next season. Definitely
a lot to look forward to for next season, but also you got a lot to look forward to this coming weekend on Saturday over at Bethel High School, the Miami Valley All-Conference Challenge. It's a matchup featuring some of the best players from all the area conferences. You got the GWAC, you got City League, GCL, MBL. You actually have 3 of the Pirates on the MBL roster: Kylan Ingram, Javen Vaughn, and Remy Gilmore. So and you are actually the coach also as well as the MVL. So how important is that to have your work be recognized and also the players' work be recognized for all three of them, Kyle and Jabin and Remy?
Well, it's always a good feeling to be called upon to represent a league in something as prestigious as that. This is the third year for the event, and I was actually coaching the first year. And it was a really good time. We actually went up against the GWAC, and they didn't have some of their key players, but we were able to come away with a win. So even still, for the MVL to represent, to what some may say is a lesser league than the GWAC, it was a pretty good feeling. So I think this year we are up against the Dayton Public School League, DCL. So that's going to always be tough, but we're up for the challenge. So and with our guys, once again, it's an opportunity to show their skill set on a big scale to where they'll walk away with some confidence. I hope to get a win, but as long as our guys play good and have a good time, that's really what I'm geared towards.
Well, we're looking forward to seeing that, Coach. And we're going to have you sit in on this next segment as we're talking Sweet 16, NCAA, and more about the All-Star games this weekend. Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. Come back. Check us out. All right, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? We're here. Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. I'm with my guy, Matty Ice, and Coach Parker. And we're going to go ahead and get to it as we have the men's Sweet 16 NCAA action going down, and we have some surprises.
We did.
To
History.
say the least. And no brackets are perfect anymore, which lets you know some big stuff happening. When you look at the brackets, you had Kansas falling. I mean, there was a couple of number ones falling, and then you got Fairleigh Dickinson in there and against Florida Atlantic, and all types of chaos going down. What is the biggest? Well, what did you take from the Sweet 16?
Well, I think the big takeaway is Fairleigh Dickinson. You talk about a team; they were the runner-up in the conference tournament, so they technically would not have gotten in the NCAA tournament, except for the fact that Merrimack, the team that beat them, they're still in that transition probation period. So that's why FDU got the automatic bid. They got the first 4 bid, and we had a chance to see them on Wednesday against Texas Southern. And they took care of that game pretty handily. And I was able to hear Coach Tobin Anderson after post-game. He was not intimidated about going up against Purdue, and that confidence definitely spread to his players, and that's why they ultimately won that game. And also, how about Sean Moore from Reynoldsburg? That's Eastern Columbus. So he comes back, plays in this home state, doesn't miss a shot in the first 4 against Texas Southern, and then he comes back, leads the Knights in scoring as they become just the second number 16 seed to beat a 1 seed in the tournament.
Unreal. And then they took on Florida Atlantic, and
it was back and forth for a while.
Back and forth, a really tough game. Florida Atlantic advancing to the Sweet 16 for the first time since
ever.
I can't think of it.
Ever.
We'll talk to our stat guy and find out. But it's been a long ride if they did make it. They're taking on Tennessee, a team that's looking pretty good. And then on the bottom half, Kansas State knocking off Kentucky.
Yep.
And Michigan State, Izzo does it again. His 29th consecutive March Madness appearance. That's just insane. Who you like coming out of that bracket real quick?
Right now, I like Michigan State. That's the one thing when I make my brackets, I usually don't necessarily go for the big double-digit seed advancing. I usually try to pick, who's a 6 seed or a 7 seed that I think can make an elite run. And with Michigan State, what Izzo has done, having grown up in Columbus in the 2000s and through the 2010s and following the Spartans, I even tweeted that there are good decisions one can make. Picking Tom Izzo the first weekend of March is one of those decisions.
And he's done it once again. Coach, who are you seeing in that one?
I like Michigan State as well. I mean, it's hard when you look at what he's accomplished, and you look at what he's used to, and just kind of things that he's done over the years. It's hard to go against Michigan State right now. They've been there and they've got the experience. So.
No question about it. We'll see what they can do coming up. Now, in the other one, Houston, number 1 seed, moving on. They're going to take on Miami of Florida, who knocked off Indiana. As they sent the Hoosiers packing both ways. Texas, Xavier in the other bracket. Now, Xavier is a team we talked about. Maybe you had them going pretty far. What are you thinking?
I do have Xavier in this matchup. I do like their chances against the Longhorns in the Sweet 16. I know Boom has been solid for them. I thought they might run into a bit of a trap against Pitt in that second round, but they were able to weather that storm. Although Kennesaw State gave them trouble in the first round, but the Musketeers got through that. And then Texas, I know know, Penn State, they gave them all they could handle. So I do like Xavier and Houston matching up in let's see, that is the Midwest region. So they're out in Kansas City.
Yeah, the Elite Eight. Who you like, Coach?
Man, he's spot on, man.
Go with Xavier, Houston,
I'm gonna go with Xavier and Houston as well. Yeah.
Okay. Who we got though? I picked Houston in this bracket.
So I did too.
Yeah. Houston. I mean, Houston, Xavier in the Elite Eight, and I got Houston winning. I feel like they got there twice. I feel like, they know what it's going to take, and they maybe this is year. We'll see. Who you got in this one?
I got Houston as well.
You got Houston?
Yeah, I still have Houston winning it all. That's my one claim to fame. I have Houston and UCLA in my Final Four. That's still a go. Arizona and Purdue, not so much. That was another big upset this week. Princeton over Arizona.
It really was.
No question about it. And speaking of Princeton, they're still in it.
Yeah.
They're taking on Creighton, a really tough team as well. I mean, and then you got San Diego State, Alabama on the upper side of that. Alabama's they're looking pretty real strong and seem to kind of.
And that's without Brandon Miller, because he missed the first game, I think, and he only played part of the second. And
yeah. But they're going to need him against San Diego State.
They will.
Yeah, they will.
Who you like in that Creighton-Princeton game? And, I mean, I got Bama. I mean, Bama, I feel like they can still make it through. But Creighton-Princeton, who you think?
I think if it's close, I think you got to go Princeton. I think if it's a close game,
the pressure's all on Creighton.
Yeah,
I think so.
It just is. It just is.
Okay, that'll be good. What you think?
I do think Creighton will win by double digits. It will be one of those, they'll kind of keep it at arm's length, and then they'll force Princeton to play the foul game, and the Blue Jays will make their free throws to put the game away. But yeah, I do like your logic, Coach Parker. If it's a close game, you can't be. It wouldn't be the biggest surprise in the world for Princeton. That's the other thing. 3 straight years now, a 15 seed making it to the second weekend. You had Oral Roberts 2 years ago, St. Peter's with that miracle run, and now you got the Princeton Tigers.
Hey, doing it big. The last bracket we got UConn, Arkansas, and UCLA, Gonzaga. Now, Gonzaga, I had them going through this bracket. I'm still going to ride with them. UCLA's tough op. I don't know about this one. Who you like in these two?
I had UCLA from the beginning. I'm sticking with UCLA. I do like UConn over Arkansas. I know Arkansas, they've been on a great run with Eric Musselman, holding off Kansas, the number 1 seed. But UConn, Dan Hurley, they just know how to get into the groove. I know they had a battle themselves in the first half against St. Mary's, and they were able to pull away in the second half on Sunday. But I'm going UConn versus UCLA for the regional final, and I'm picking UCLA to win the region.
All right. Coach, what you thinking? UCLA or Gonzaga?
Well, I've got UCLA in my Final Four. So
yep.
So so once again, I think they get past Gonzaga. I think UConn. I got UConn over Arkansas.
Okay, all right. Look, you guys on team. I see it.
But I got UCLA going to the Final Four.
All right, I'm going with the Zags, man. I'm gonna go with the Zags, but I do like UCLA a lot.
Okay.
And then Arkansas's, they're picking the right time to play good. They were picked high early in the season. They kind of faltered a little bit, but they're back. All right, that's gonna wrap up our March Madness. How many teams you still got left?
I correctly called 11 teams left, and I know 2 of my the Sweet 16. I have 2 of my Final Four still in, Houston and UCLA, so I'm sticking with Houston to win it all.
Okay, you still got your 3 or 4 left.
Well, I've got 2. I've got now I don't know. My bracket's all messed up now. Yeah. So now I've got 2 teams remaining to get to the Final Four.
Okay.
So
right.
So we'll see how that goes.
I got 3 still. I got 3.
Okay.
So I'm still. I got Bama and I got Houston and I got Gonzaga. So we'll see how that goes. Kentucky got outed, but nevertheless, you gotta love March Madness. All right. Now, real quickly, Coach. You're the head football coach as well. One of the only coaches, the only coach to do this in the last 15 years in OHSA sports. How does it feel, and what's the grind been like? Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah, definitely.
Accomplishment,
man. I'm not getting a lot of sleep right now. I tell you that, but I'm excited about the possibilities of what can happen. I think the community is kind of rallying behind it, and I feel like our young men really deserve an opportunity to understand what high school football does for a community. So as like many high schools, a lot of the players, they didn't cross over into the major sports. So, they often did a secondary sport, and not saying that it's any lesser, but maybe basketball and track or football and baseball. So I think I've been able to kind of bring together early on the possibility of guys playing football and basketball, which at West Carrollton has not happened, generally in a long time. So, so we'll look different. We'll have more numbers. We'll look like a football team. We'll do some things. We're working out. We're lifting before school and after school if you don't play a spring sport. So we're just introducing them to some things that they have not been introduced to, and we hope that that confidence of working on their bodies and giving them some coaches, some good coaching, and really building their confidence. We'll spill over into the field this year, and we'll see what happens. But we're excited, though.
Man, it's an amazing accomplishment. We're looking forward to seeing what you can do with it. Matt, you got something for him real quick?
Yeah, what's the mindset right now? I know basketball season's over, so now the ground getting into football. Has that been as big a jump for you as you were maybe anticipating?
Well, essentially, what people don't know is my background is actually I'm actually a football coach as well. Prior to coming to West Carrollton, I coached. I have been coaching football and basketball collectively for the last I think like 8 years. So I was the assistant coach at Trotwood Madison for the last 4 seasons, and up until my last year, in which I came to West Carrollton. And at that point, I kind of focused just on basketball. So it took a little while to get back into the adjustment, and just even looking at film, like I had took a break from that. So just going back and doing some of the things I've been used to doing. But I would say so far so good. Just that things are moving really quickly, so I got to reacclimate myself pretty fast. But so far so good.
All right, congratulations, man. We're proud to have you in here.
Yeah, and we're looking good season with the Pirates.
That's what's up. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up here today, March Madness edition. We look forward to seeing what happens with the boys and girls Sweet 16 and everything else. And also, good luck with your team at the All-Star games this weekend. All right,
thank you.
Dayton 24/7 Now Sports Podcast. Make sure you lock in with us. I'm Deon Cash, Matt Digby, Anthony Parker. We'll see you.